Hey guys, and today Shorty and I are going to talk about how injuries shouldn't really be used as an excuse. Now, everyone sort of gets a bit nervous when they have an injury or two, and often can blame injuries for losing games. I tend to think they're not really, as bad as what they could be.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, mate. I mean, I know you had a couple of clubs you sort of wanted to have a look into there.
Yeah, I've got Geelong, Hawthorn, Adelaide and Collingwood. Now with Geelong it was like, we had Motlop out for a while. We also had Caddy and Christensen, and I just remember, you said it a lot, like once we get Caddy and Christensen back we'll be fine, and got Motlop back and Mackie was out a little bit here and there. And we also had McCarthy and Schroeder, they're injured as well. They're not awesome players, but it affects the depth a little bit.
Yeah.
But as we found against Gold Coast, and maybe a few other sides, even with our best 22 in, or seemingly best 22, we haven't quite been able to perform the way we should, and that doesn't suggest that it's personnel. It suggests it could be a club thing, a coaching thing. We don't really know. We're not here to talk about why Geelong aren't playing that well.
Yeah, already done that, haven't we?
Yeah, definitely. And you think of Hawthorn. Now they're a side, lose a soldier, replace a soldier. That's often the thing with Hawthorn. So they've had Gibson out, Lake out, Stratton out, Mitchell out, McAvoy, maybe a few other names we haven't mentioned, and they were still able to compete against the best sides. Like they lost to Port Adelaide by
Alistair Clarkson.
They had the coach out, and that would just kill any other footy side. Shows the depth they've got, and they lost to Port Adelaide I think by like 14 points, and they were flying high that time, and that was at Adelaide Oval. So you just I actually tipped the Hawks to win that night, but
just reflects where they are as a club, doesn't it? Like,
for sure, yeah.
Their depth is fantastic.
And Adelaide's another example of that as well. We've got, you heard everyone saying, once Adelaide get Tex Walker back, they'll be fine. He came in and he's had a pretty good contribution, but he hasn't been excellent, and he hasn't really been the difference between them winning and losing. And even Adelaide last year, round 1 against the Bombers, they lost, and they had Tex Walker in until obviously round 5. Adelaide should have won that game, and they didn't. And you'd say, Tex is often an example. They were playing badly last year, but they weren't awesome with him in there. It's just
he is only one man, I guess, and while he does help a lot, it doesn't necessarily mean he is the answer to all the problems.
That's exactly my point. And so Adelaide's a big example there, and that's obviously it's just one player. You can't. There can be potential match winners from time to time, and some players you can't obviously have out. But there's Adelaide. Collingwood, they've pretty much been killed in injuries for the key defenders. You think of Ben Reid, Maxwell, Nathan Brown, and they've just had to, lose a soldier, replace a soldier. They're not flying at the moment by any means, but they've been playing pretty good footy, just losing to Gold Coast on the weekend. In a pretty good performance, but maybe a bit stiff in the end. But they really pushed us to the edge, and we only just got over the line by a few goals there. And it's just, injury shouldn't be an excuse. You've got a few examples here of some clubs that have played well without injuries. Geelong seem to be the barometer here with...
And Hawthorn are like the benchmark, I
absolutely,
suppose.
It just goes to show, if you're talking about Geelong, it's just showing how far we are from the best. So, but obviously, there's a few clubs involved here, and did you have any thoughts?
You've summed up pretty well there, like with a few good examples and that. But I think as far as injuries and stuff, I think the long-term ones kill you. Just talking from Geelong, like Vardy and Menzel are two good examples, and Tex is a good example from last year. But I guess maybe we might be saying next year, Vardy's the answer, maybe he won't be that good. Could be the comparison there. But I think there's certain players and certain teams that are more susceptible to losing key players. Like you mentioned Collingwood, they've got good depth in the defenders with Keefe, and Reid can swing from end to end. If you took out Tom Lonergan or Harry Taylor, we're in a bit of trouble there with maybe Joel Hambling or Mitch Brown stepping up. And then, there's plenty of other examples from other clubs and things like that. But it does depend on what the injury is and how long for, because it takes a little while. Being out for a while, match fitness and things like that. So while injuries can't be blamed, it can be partly to the reason, but let's face it, once you get to finals, there's always going to be some sort of injury, someone's going to be sore, so it's all part and parcel of the game, I think. But probably the main one would be the long-term injuries that really hurt. Like, you got Rioli at the moment, that could be potentially damaging to them, and I'm sure Fremantle would love Michael Walters at the moment.
He's huge, yeah.
So it's many examples, but especially those key players. Like, you take out Joel Selwood, you take out Gary Ablett right now. How are the Suns going to go? We know they coped all right there, but the fact is, then the tag might be moved on to David Swallow or Dion Prestia. Heppel was very quiet after an outstanding match without Watson. He cops the tag, so it's a flow-on effect. It does affect it, but teams, it's part of the game. Teams cop injuries, they have to deal with them, and hopefully if they're not long-term, they can manage it, get it right, and hopefully come finals time or the big matches, it's there and abouts, and they can compete, hopefully towards their best. But it's an interesting topic, because I know you mentioned that the point of this video obviously is that a lot of sides, it often happens that, injury, and even when I talk to the local footy coaches, so often it's, we've got this bloke out, it's part of the game, it does happen. It can often be used as an excuse,
Yeah, I think you summed it up perfectly with injuries is part of the game. Every team has them, so you can't just say, oh, if we had this such and such playing, and we probably would have won, got across the line, but reality is that's footy.
Yeah.
Sometimes there is injuries, and sometimes there's not. Sometimes luck goes your way, but so that's sort of a few of the thoughts Shortbread and I have for injuries not being the be all and end all, and how they shouldn't really be used as an excuse. So yeah, certainly a controversial topic, we'd like to think. So yeah, feel free to comment your thoughts on whether injuries play a huge role. Obviously they do, but whether they're a bit overrated, maybe. Could be
it's a good discussion point.
Yeah, so feel free to put in your thoughts. Like the video if you found it amusing at all, and and also links in the description below for our Twitter accounts if you want to follow those. Thanks for sticking around, guys, and we'll see you all soon.